My name is Michael Craig, Afro editor for EnergyNewsAfrica.com. We look for players in the industry and have a conversation with them. So today we are fortunate to have Honourable John Abdulai Jinapor, who is a former Deputy Minister for Power and currently a Member of Parliament for the people of Yape Kusogu, and also a ranking member on Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament. And we are very happy to have you on the EnergyNewsAfrica.com platform, Honourable.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
First of all, what are your perspectives as far as the current happening in the industry is concerned?
Thank you very much. You would agree that oil is quite volatile, and so that's what normally happens. Even in a year where you have some level of predictability, one major event can change the oil price significantly. And so yes, as of January, oil was around 96 thereabouts. Today, as we speak, it's around 96, 97.
Yeah.
And so in terms of the world market price, comparatively, between January to date, nothing has really changed. And so if the indices and the basis and the indicator was international oil market price, we should be buying fuel just as we were buying in January a liter for about 6 cedi. But today, as we speak, oil has jumped by about 300%, largely on account of the exchange rate. The cedi who used to trade around 6 cedi to the dollar today is doing around 14.5 in the forex. And you would understand that most of the BDCs use the forex rate and not the Bank of Ghana quoted rate. But the Bank of Ghana is able to supply just about 30% of their forex requirement of about $400 million a month. So we are paying for these huge astronomical increments, not because of international oil market price, but because of the fast depreciation cedi. And once it depreciates, it means that you need more cedis. But even more importantly, and I'm very worried about that, the MPA is setting a forex market rate. And for me, that is very, 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 very unfortunate. When the cedi to dollar was 13, they decided to use 18 cedi to the dollar.
You mean they increase it?
Yes, and when we asked them, they said that they anticipated that the cedi would depreciate further because the previous price window, when they decided to use the fixed rate, it went up. Now, when you do that, there's something called signaling in the forex market. You are telling the forex bureaus and all those who in the market that you are willing to pay 18 cedi instead of the Bank of Ghana's quoted 13 cedi. So what you are doing is establishing a forward forex rate. So because of that, you're seeing the cedi now continue to slide and the dollar increase. I think that's very, very unfortunate. The MPA must think outside the box. They must learn from this unfortunate example and then avoid such unfortunate analysis and strategy. It doesn't help at all.
You are a member of a Mines and Energy Committee. When you realize that, I mean, did the committee show some kind of concern to find out from MPA why probably that action was taken or decision was taken?
That's what I said, that when we inquired, that's the explanation they gave. And so having had that concern, your Medium and other platforms are very, very good platforms so that we all advocate, because part of our job is advocacy. I'm not the implementing agency. The ministry is under me. We have oversight responsibility, and Parliament must be called upon before a committee can even act. That's how we operate. And so, yes, I agree with you. The committee will continue to do its job. All of us will continue to advocate. But one of the ways of operating as a committee and as a member of Parliament is to channel such suggestions, grievances, and policy suggestions through the media. And I think that's also a very good channel.
So we have seen that the prices are going up. A liter of diesel is almost 4 cedis, and 24 Ghana.
23 point.
Yeah, 23 points, almost 24 Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
Petrol, a liter of petrol is almost 18 cedis, and we have all seen how drivers have responded to it. They have increased prices. What are the implications on the Ghanaian people? The implication of the cost of energy and also the hikes in transport fares?
Now, the first thing is that energy generally is a necessary commodity. And you would recall that in the Bible, the first thing God did was to create light, which
Yeah.
tells you that energy is very, very essential. And energy serves as an intermediary commodity. You normally would not consume energy. You would need energy in order to attain something.
Yeah.
So if you want to drive, you need fuel. The manufacturing sector needs fuel. The homes and others need fuel for heating, for cooking, and other things. So it becomes an input factor. And so when the price goes up, it means that the input factor for a certain process also goes up. And so you realize that when fuel prices go up, transport fares also go up. When transport fares goes up, it makes the cost of transporting goods and services, particularly foodstuffs, very, very expensive. And so I'm seeing a lot of food inflation hovering around 150%. Oil that used to be sold for 350 cedi is selling for 1,200. I've seen it.
You mean cooking oil?
Cooking oil. And people would attest, rice is increased by more than 100%. Maggi and the other foodstuff have gone up by more than 100%, largely on account of the depreciation of the cedi, but more importantly also on account of the cost of transportation. And if we don't take time, we might even have food shortages. So it has a huge implication. And I think that government must think outside the box and do something to arrest the situation before it gets too late.
If you say government should or must think outside the box, I mean, what exactly do you want the
Yeah, first of all, I don't receive the taxes. I was not voted into the executive. It's the executive that receives our taxes. It's the executive that prioritizes expenditure. It's the executive that can cut down on expenditure. If you look at our petroleum revenue, and don't forget that even as world market prices go up, Ghana also stands to benefit. But we
have some kind of
we produce oil. Indeed, we're a net exporter of oil. Just that in the primary balance, a lot of the money doesn't come back to Ghana. But we export a lot of oil. We have 3 oil fields. We have Sankofa, we have Jubilee, and we have the 10 fields. We have a gas processing plant. And so if you look at the PIAC report, which is the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, and you look at the Ministry of Finance's own budget, the ministry projected that it will receive about 6 billion cedis for the whole year. The PIAC report confirms that in just one quarter, and I mean just one quarter of the year, the ministry has received over 7 billion. So what the ministry projected to receive for the whole year, they've gotten in excess of that in one quarter. So there's a huge windfall. And I think that part of that windfall, even if you don't use it to cushion consumers directly, use part of it to revamp toll, so that toll can process some of our domestic crude.
Yeah, we'll be getting to toll.
There's also the price stabilization and recovery levy. The price stabilization and recovery levy is supposed to subsidize fuel. They projected 267 million thereabouts. Within the first 2 quarters, they got about 800 million. And this can be found in the ministry's own published accounting system. So that's a huge amount. And so what are they using the money for? So when we say government can look at the scenario and think about it a bit, that is it. But the long-term effective solution is to deal with the slide in the cedi and the currency depreciation. It's terrible.
Government functionaries have also been blaming the cost of fuel on the current issue, that is the invasion of Ukraine, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Have you also considered about that?
Yes, so that should affect the price of the international world market price, because finished products are indexed to the world market price, transportation, insurance, and others, but largely on the world market price. So if today the world market price is the same as January, why are we seeing such a huge increment? Yes, you can have some level of increment because of other related factors, but not 300%. Has crude oil prices gone up by 300%? I mean, what justifies 300%? I've never seen that under the 4th Republican dispensation. I've never witnessed that. This is unprecedented. And I'm proving to you that because of the Russian-Ukraine war, Ghana is making some supernormal profits, huge, unimaginable windfalls. And so this narrative and this whole suggestion that Ghana is losing and losing as a result of the Ukraine war, it's a fallacy. It's a complete fallacy.
You will recall that before even this Russian invasion of Ukraine, post-COVID, oil prices went up to as far as about 128 and $120. Almost, I mean, there was a time it got 126, 127. And you were saying that we had a huge windfall. So,
Yes.
but government probably doesn't think that that money should be used to cushion the consumers.
You see, you just indicated that prices went up. In that, don't forget that prices went as far as to negative,
Yeah,
especially the futures
yeah, that
market.
was
On the average, it
2020.
was about 35. So when it moved from 35 to 120, how come they didn't charge us that amount in Ghana? That's the first question you should answer. Because of the currency. And so it is not because of world market price. It is because the cedi today is the worst currency in Africa. And the question you should also ask yourself is that how come our peers, such as Tanzania, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Uganda, Kenya, look at all our peers. How come they are not going through this difficult moment like ours? Something must be wrong with Ghana then. How come Ghana is an outlier? Ghana alone, everything is in the extreme negative.
Are you sure?
Yes, inflation is in the extreme negative. Interest rate, extreme negative. Our reserves, extreme negative. You just mentioned one. Almost all the indices. And you see, it's not just the economic indicators. It's the living condition of the people. You can tell that people are suffering in Ghana. I have been driving, and for the past 3 or 4 days, I've realized that there's virtually no traffic on the streets. It tells you people cannot acquire or buy fuel.
Maybe
And if
now
people cannot
people are
move,
trying to use public transport instead of
so you want to
private
also see vehicles that transport goods and services. Yes, let's assume that what you're saying is true. But even Ghana has a public transport system. The Metro Mass system is collapsing. The workers just went on strike. That almost all their buses are grounded. And so even our public transport system is not good. And in times of crisis, what you do is to strengthen and make your public transport system more efficient. Because like you are saying, others want to depend on the public transport system. But our public transport system in Ghana is currently collapsing. And so goods and services are not moving. That's why you are seeing those huge, extraordinary rise in market price. I mean, the evidence just shows, if you do a trajectory, if you follow the trend, it tells you that we are in very, very serious, very, very difficult situation.
There have been calls that government should do everything possible to make sure that Tema Oil Refinery is revived. Is that a call that, as a ranking member of parliament, you also be making?
Yes.
With regards to the current situation?
Yes. We think that TOR can be revamped. TOR can produce about almost half of our total consumption. Can do about 45,000 barrels a day. If you improve it, in fact, you can do even 65,000 if you really upgrade it. So as a matter of urgency, I hold the view that something should be done about TOR. But let me serve notice that we would not accept a situation where they try to sell TOR, especially sell TOR for balance of payment purposes.
You have information?
I'm picking information. The government intends to hand over TOR to a private entity. I've seen some documents to that effect. And let me just
at a committee level?
With my own sources. I'm the ranking member. I deal with a lot of people. I deal with a lot of industry players. We have made so much comments, and most of them have come to pass. From PDS to Japan to Amerit, just mention them. And so we would not tolerate that. We also think that our oil revenues should be paid directly into the designated fund rather than paying it to offshore companies. 100 million and above is not a small amount. So we're calling the minister to go and get that money back and pay it back into the Petroleum Holding Fund as stipulated by Act 815, Act 919, and Act 219. We would not accept anything short of that. And we're waiting for the minister.
Maybe I want to come to the GNPC and Adakun issue that you were talking about now, but let's have a bit of time on Tema Oil Refinery. What I know is that then early this year, there's some publications that the government of Ghana, that the current administration wants, through the management of TOR, they are looking for partners. So about 3 companies or so were assessed, and they have selected Capital where there's a company called Capital. And is that what you are talking about, or you have your own information pointing to a different entity?
Yes, that is one of them. That is one of the issues we've been talking about. We are also aware that there's another company that they've approached in order to do what they describe as a lease for a minimum of 5 years. And this company is
Aside the Decimal Capital.
Decimal is one. Decimal Capital stockholders is one of the companies I know they approached. And this was as of June 2022. And so I have all the documents when I'm speaking.
Okay.
And if it becomes necessary, I can share that with you in terms of exactly what they want to do. I'm also told that they are now bringing on board a Chinese company.
Okay.
Yes, and so
That's news to us.
yes, we get enough information, and like I said, I sit on very good information that we can share. So clearly, we believe that toll must be revamped, but that must not be an avenue for somebody to use unorthodox, opaque, and financially engineered ways for their own private benefit. We would not accept that. We would ensure that the right thing is done. We believe that the toll staff and management can operate that refinery efficiently, but a complete takeover and selling the plant, we think that no, you shouldn't sell the plant. Even if it's a joint venture, you may want to look at that. But to sell the plant and use the money for balance of payment support, we are against that.
Well, we'll have time also to, delve into that matter. Then let's come back to the issue of Anadaku, GMPC's acquisition of Anadaku, which they had that 7% stake. Recently, there was an issue that that money cannot be found, and you had a press conference and whereby you spoke about the fact that government should make sure that that money is returned to the petroleum holding fund. As at now, what is the current information about that?
Yeah, my information is that they haven't paid the money back. They are making all kinds of excuses. We just considered GMPC's financial, and GMPC doesn't even recognize JOHL as a subsidiary in their document. And so to even tell us that it's a subsidiary of GMPC, the records available indicate that they are deceiving us. But we have an uncompromising position. We are not moving from that position. We are doing so based on law. We believe that we are grounded. Every money arising or accruing from our petroleum resources, be it surface rental, be it carried or participating interest, be it royalties, be it capital gain, be it corporate tax, and any other tax or related revenue, must first deposit in the petroleum holding fund before any disbursement. It is to ensure accountability and transparency. And so the Minister of Finance cannot, on his own volition, with blatant disregard to the law, transfer over 100 million in lieu of almost 1 million barrels of Ghana's oil to an offshore company. We cannot tolerate that. We will not tolerate that. And Ghanaians must not tolerate that. Over $100 million is a lot of money today, especially looking at the credit and financial crunch that we find ourselves. And so we would pursue this matter to its logical conclusion. We are investigating the Gensa issue. We are pushing that latest by next week. We should be done with the Gensa issue and generate a report.
Okay.
After that, I think that we should deal with this JOHL matter and also deal with ECG. The ECG is attempting to hand over all their software to a company called Haptel. We are against that.
Well, at the press conference, the MD indicated that there is some process going on. They invited them for a certain work, and that doesn't mean that they are going to hand over their
Why
IT
would they invite them for a certain work? Why can't they advertise for every company to be given the opportunity so that you do an assessment and get the best? You should stop telling us these cock and bull stories. We're also in the sector. He's not the only person in the sector. After staff went there, they went to their IT room. They don't want to tell you the truth. It was the same with PDS. It was the same with America. It was the same with Japan. It was the same with several other issues in the energy sector. We are quite vigilant. We'll continue to pursue these matters. And we'll push that Parliament, as part of its oversight responsibility, gets into these matters for its logical conclusion.
Yeah, you have outlined or indicated, made mention of several issues that have happened in the current administration as far as the energy is concerned. But you have this parliamentary oversight responsibility, and yet still, some of these things are going on. When somebody says that the committee is not doing its work efficiently, would you agree?
It's the same committee's work that exposed the Mary rot, which led to the dismissal of a minister. It's the same committee that tackled the PDS scandal that led to the abrogation of the compact. It's the same committee that fought the Japan deal vehemently. It's the same committee that's probing the Genza deal. That's how committees work. It's not about one individual. You must listen to all sides. You must take everything into account and come to a final determination. And that is what we are doing. The Aker deal, we fought it vigorously. The ExxonMobil deal, vigorously. And so there's ample evidence to show that, especially those of us on the minority side, we are holding government to the fire of accountability. We have been raising this issue of 100 million. That's what we do. We are not a court. So we will do our best. But you, the media, should also help. Because it's about Ghana, it's not about me alone. So I think that civil society should also help. And ASAP and Imani did a very good job. I had to read some of their reports in order to beef up my knowledge so that we can ask the critical questions at the committee. And one day, I think some of you should come and sit at the committee and listen to what happens. I think so. I would appeal to the chairman.
Yes, you should invite us.
So that you see how, and you can find out from the ASAP guy, when he came, his experience with the committee and the position some of us took. So we'll continue to advocate, we'll continue to push, but we'll have to do so within a civilized system, within law and order, devoid of rancor and devoid of unnecessary acrimony.
On 30th of October, when President addressed the nation here, especially regarding the energy situation or the fuel situation, he did indicate that his administration is going to make sure that at least we have some kind of reliable and affordable sources of energy. What are your thoughts on this statement?
Well, I wish that Ghana can get some cheap fuel somewhere. But in the crude market and oil sector, there's nothing like cheap oil. You are going to sell your crude. You want to sell it at competitive price. And you are telling the people who buy your crude to process your crude to sell the crude to you at a discount. It doesn't make logic to me. It's not logical. We're told they've gone to Qatar. The president broadcasted and addressed the nation on the 30th. Today is 8th. It's past 1 week. We haven't had any positive feedback. If they come empty-handed, they would have to refund the monies they spent on that trip. To be a fantasy trip, wishful thinking, and a waste of the taxpayers' money. So we're monitoring them. The NPA and BOST in particular, their presence should be felt now, particularly BOST. You and I pay 9 pesos per liter to BOST. What has been their role in this crisis? What has BOST done that has contributed to ameliorating the challenge or the suffering, or reducing the impact of the harsh conditions?
We haven't seen shortages of fuel, maybe.
It's because they are selling the fuel at a higher price. You and I have agreed that today, traffic has gone down because vehicles are parked. It's not just shortages. It's also the issue of affordability. You can choose that you won't do shortages, but you sell it at exorbitant price. That's another way of shortening the person. The person cannot get the fuel into his tank. If it's cheap and he can't get it into his tank, There's
You have to park
shortage.
the car.
That's cheap. You can't get the fuel. If it's expensive and you can also buy the fuel into his tank, he has to park the car. So I think that BOST has been the weakest link as far as this whole challenge is concerned. And I'm asking myself, what is the role of BOST? All they do is unnecessary radio talk show. Your profit maximization is meaninless.
Haven't you seen any transformation since the current administration has moved?
They've rather gotten a 200% increment in the BOST margin.
From haven't seen any project as a result of that.
Let them give us one project, one significant project they've undertaken. One. I'm asking for one. The BOST on their own balance sheet has undertaken. It's becoming a drain and a waste in the public sector.
Well, as we prepare to wrap up this interview, you are a politician and also a ranking member of Mines and Energy Committee. And assuming your party was in power today, what different would your party be doing to address the energy challenges?
We will try and bring BOST up to scratch so they can have the necessary strategic reserves like we used to do. In 2016, even when prices were going up, we were able to tame the system. That's one. Two is that we'll try and get Tor back on his feet. We give Tor 2 million barrels from the 10 fields. We left a huge chunk of that stock to this government. When they took over, they sold it. What we left in BOST too, they sold it. You remember the moving peanut scandal. That's also something that the minority champion. And then honesty. Honesty. The deception is just too much. And transparency, yes. They are not utilizing the price stabilization levy for its intended purpose. The Ministry of Finance is rather using part of that money to pay pensions for non-core energy-related activity. We would streamline all these issues and ensure that the energy sector is back on its feet again.
Well, we are so much grateful to you, Honourable John Abdulai Jinapor, for spending some time to discuss energy issues. We are so much grateful.
Thank you. Thank you, bro. Thanks a lot.
Well, viewers, it was very interesting and insightful hearing from the Honourable Minister. We will encourage you to keep following us on Energy News Africa platforms. We have a page on Facebook. We also have a YouTube account, and then you can also follow me personally on Michael Craig Afro TV. Thank you.